All right, hey everyone, welcome to our deep dive. Today we're tackling something pretty amazing, the link between visualization and healing. We've got some really cool research to dig into, and let me tell you, the science here is wild.
It's funny. People think visualization is like this new agey thing, but it's really not. It's totally grounded in science.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when you imagine something really vividly, certain pathways in your brain, they light up like the same ones that would be active if you were actually living it.
Whoa, so it's like tricking your brain into thinking it's real?
Basically, yeah.
That's crazy. So like, if I imagine myself, I don't know, winning a marathon or
Your
something.
brain's going to fire up those same neurons as if you were actually crossing the finish line. Yeah.
So it's a practice, but for your mind.
Exactly.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and get this, there was a study at the University of Tennessee, right? And they had patients who were recovering from a knee injury.
Okay. Yeah.
And they had them visualize healing, really focus on it. And guess what? They saw like a 25% decrease in pain compared to the patients who didn't do any visualization.
Wow, 25%. That's huge.
It is, right?
So this mind-body connection, is this like just for physical stuff or what?
Oh, no, it goes way beyond that.
Okay.
It's massively important for like your emotional health too.
So how does that work? Like, can you give me an example?
Sure. Like athletes use visualization all the time to boost their performance, right?
Yeah, like I've heard about that.
Well, you know Michael Phelps.
The swimmer?
He visualized every single race, like down to the tiniest detail.
Wow, so he'd like picture himself in the pool making every stroke?
Yeah, like he was actually swimming it. And studies show that kind of mental rehearsal really preps the brain for success. So, if it works for athletic performance, why not for healing?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's like our brains can't always tell if something is real or just really vividly imagined.
Exactly.
So, okay, we've talked about how visualization can affect us physically.
Right.
What about the emotional side of things?
Yeah, so visualizing a healthier, happier you, it can do wonders. Like it creates this sense of calm, reduces stress, even helps you build resilience. It's like giving your mind the safe space to work through those tough emotions.
So it's almost like a mental escape, but in a good way.
Yeah, kind of.
Hmm.
And this is especially helpful for people who've been through trauma. It lets them, confront those experiences in a safe environment in their minds.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like a controlled space to start healing.
Exactly.
This whole thing reminds me of the placebo effect.
Oh, yeah.
It just blows my mind.
Yeah,
People taking a sugar pill and actually feeling better just because they believe it'll work.
right. The placebo effect is a perfect example of how powerful our minds are. Like, belief and expectation can actually trigger real changes in our bodies,
Hmm.
even without any real medicine. And visualization, it kind of taps into that same power,
Hmm.
When you picture yourself healing, you're basically setting up these positive expectations, which can then boost the actual healing process.
So, I mean, this sounds amazing, but is there anything like any downsides to visualization we should be aware of?
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's super important to remember that visualization, it's a tool to add to your toolbox, not a replacement for actual medical treatment.
Yeah, for sure.
And for some folks, especially if they're dealing with like mental health stuff, visualization might bring up some unwanted thoughts or feelings. So it's always smart to check in with a doctor to see if it's right for you.
Okay, that's really good advice. So I guess, like, what's the big takeaway here for our listeners?
I think the main thing is, realizing you have this power to influence your own healing, both physically and emotionally.
Wow, that's powerful.
It is.
Yeah.
And by using visualization, you can tap into that incredible mind-body connection and, potentially speed up your journey toward feeling better.
So, like, what's next? Where do we go from here?
Well, it's pretty mind-blowing to think how much potential lies within this connection,
Yeah.
right? Like if our minds can actually help us heal in such a big way, what else can they do?
That's a great question to leave our listeners with.
Definitely.
If our minds are this powerful, what other possibilities are out there? And how can we use this power in our everyday lives? Something to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.